They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it? Keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it. And then I need to multiply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't gonna get none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.
When you're in front of a customer, do I have your attention? When you're getting attention, you need to know something else is trying to get their attention too. You're in competition with everything, and you don't need to make attention. You need to get attention. They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it? Keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it, and then I need to multiply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't gonna get none of my money.
If you want Cardone.
What's happening, all y'all? Welcome to the Lead Magnet with your main man, Dr. Frank Kern, attorney at law, chief engineer with NASA, retired, current Guinness Book of World Records record holder for the most fake titles ever used in the introduction of an internet production such as this. And today is, the 10th of September, and the title of today's show is Disaster. It's all about good stuff, though, really, but you gotta love some good old-fashioned clickbait. Reason I called it disaster is, I don't know if you watch the news or not, but apparently there was like a hurricane coming to the greater Miami area. And I'll tell you what we all did down here in the Miami area is we went absolutely insane. And by we, I mainly mean my family and I. So we get, how much notice do you think we got in advance of this thing coming? Like 2 weeks? Yeah. Maybe, yeah. So we get pretty good notice like, hey, you know what? Hurricane's coming. You guys might want to get together. And I don't know about you, we bravely ignored that until roughly 35 minutes before the hurricane was supposed to hit. And then like everybody goes bonkers, right? And so everyone's freaking out and like you couldn't get water anywhere. I think, like I tried to get it from Amazon Prime and we couldn't get it from Amazon Prime. So the news allegedly said like there's lines, you know, you couldn't get water, you couldn't get food, all this stuff. Natalia and I thought, my wife Natalia and I thought, you know, we're gonna beat the system. This was our logic. We're like, we're gonna go to the liquor store because I bet nobody has gone to the liquor store to get water. So we go to the liquor store to get water. They were out of water. They were not, however, out of liquor, which contains, say it with me, water. So we were in fact well prepared for the hurricane, but like a tremendous amount of business was lost here in Miami, like offices closed. This office was closed for a couple of days because of the expectation of the impending disaster of the hurricane, which granted, I fully acknowledge it was in other areas of the world, a major disaster, and that totally sucks. So I'm not downplaying that. But here's my message and why I called today's show Disaster. A lot of the disasters we have in business are invented in our minds without them ever happening, and it's really, really common in advertising, right? So we own an ad agency here at the old Cardone Kern headquarters, and a huge amount of stuff that'll go through people's mind before they ever start advertising or even when launching a new campaign is gonna be, what do I do if the thing doesn't work, right? And what's gonna happen if, and all of this kind of stuff. And it'll hold people back from running ads, or it'll cause them to like take ads that are actually working and not scale them. So I figured what I'd do with you today is just kind of show you all the stuff that can go wrong, not as a means to freak you out, by the way, as a means to show you that, you know what? None of this is really a big deal. There is no real such thing as an advertising disaster if you know what to look for and how to fix it before things get out of control. So that's what we're gonna do. And I forgot to plug the old call in. Is that someone who actually wants to talk to us? Should we take it nonetheless? Let's go ahead and go hog wild crazy and take it.
All right, you got Raphael in Texas.
Raphael in Texas, what's happening? What's going on, man?
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm real good. What you selling?
I'm selling socks currently.
No kidding. Socks on the interwebs. How's it going?
It's going okay.
Okay. Well done. Well, what you want, Raphael?
Well, I wanted to know how I could push my brand, but decrease budget. I mean, not decrease. Push my brand without increasing, like, my debt and credit. Like gain more, spending less, if that makes sense.
So you want to sell more stock or more socks while spending less on ads.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you currently running ads?
Yes.
Are you doing so at a profit? Oh my God, we done lost him. It was a profit word that blowed it. Did we hang up on him?
No.
He was like, that's enough of this. He had enough of all of this is what it was. Here would have been my answer. If you're running ads and they're profitable, you are not spending money on ads. You are multiplying capital. You're putting $1 in and getting more than $1 out. We get that all the time, by the way. It's like, okay, we ran this campaign for 20 grand. It produced 40 grand. How could we run it for 10? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you don't hear Grant going, okay, I bought this much real estate and I'm getting this much return. How can I buy less real estate? Like, no, that's not how you think about this kind of stuff at all. All right, so let's get back to the disaster theme, okay? So people get freaked out about ads and stuff, and they're like, what if they don't work? And they worry, and it's an interesting phenomenon. And by the way, I do deliberately have this little bobblehead of Grant in front of me because what I do with my own personal bobblehead of Grant Cardone is my business, and I don't want you to judge me for it, okay? But I do like to keep it near me at all times. I find security from it. All right, so here's the way ads work online, okay? You got a couple of things. Numero uno, you got the audience, all right? Numero dos, you got the ad. Numero tres, you got the website, okay? And that's like the whole universe of online advertising and marketing. So when we define like, hey, what could go wrong? Really the thing that could go wrong is you spend $1 and you don't get $1 back or any money back, right? You lose money. So what constitutes and what are the ingredients of this formula here that could either add up to a profit or a loss? Well, it ultimately comes down to whether or not people buy, right? And this is called a conversion, okay? So I'll put a little C there for conversion. And ultimately what you're looking for is how much you're paying in ads to get this to happen. If you're paying more in ads than what this is worth, that's bad. You losing money. If you pay in less in ads than what this is worth, this is good, you're making money, you want to dump as much into that system as possible. But what people fear, and this of course it's a normal and rational fear, is disaster, which would be, I just pay money here and I get less than this in return. So what do you look for and how do you like prevent that from happening? Well, ultimately what happens is you choose an audience of people to show the ad to, all right? And then you show them the ad and then they click on it. So I'm going to put this as a little C here for click, and they go to your website. Well, one of the things that's going to be a factor in whether or not your ads are making money is your cost per click. For example, if your website converts 1 out of every 100 visitors on a $100 sale, and you're getting 50 cents per click, you're making money because it's costing you $50 to get those 100 visitors and you're getting $100. But if it costs you $2 per click to get $100, you're losing money, right? So one of the things we look at is, okay, how do we make sure this is right, all right? And how can we also make this irrelevant? So if your website converts like 50 out of 100 visitors, now this cost per click number doesn't necessarily become as important. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. But the big ones are your cost per click and your website conversion rate. That means how many people that go to your site actually end up doing the stuff you want them to do. Okay, so all of this stuff is driven by things that most internet people don't ever really talk about. All right, so there's hidden factors in advertising that you need to know to avoid disaster, which once you know about these things, pretty hard for disaster to actually happen. It all really ultimately starts with the audience, okay? Who are you showing the ads to? Now, if you're showing the ad to people who have absolutely no interest in what it is that you're selling, that means that the amount of people who click here on your ad is going to be very low. That's called a click-through rate. Now, if your click-through rate is really low, that means they never have an opportunity to even click on your website because they're not even reading your ad. They're ignoring your ad, right? So you don't want that to happen. So now the question becomes, and I'm going to put this as CTR, how do we increase that click-through rate? So I want you to see how all this stuff is related. Click-through rate is people clicking over on your ad to go and check stuff out. Cost per click is people going over and looking at your website. Website conversion rate are people who go to your website end up giving you money, all right? The thing that drives all of this oftentimes is the audience, okay? So you got a couple things. Number one, if my ad is about a steakhouse and I'm showing it to an audience of vegans, my click-through rate is going to be pretty freaking low, all right? And if people actually click and check out the ad, my cost per click to my steakhouse is probably going to be like $100 a click or something, because it's a miracle that any of these vegans have gone to click anyway. And then once they land on the website, probably none of them are going to book a reservation. They're probably all just there angry, leaving like, how could you serve steak? We're vegans, screw you, right? So clearly who you're targeting matters. But there's also another little factor in here. I don't know how I made that erase. There's another little factor in your audience, what drives everything, and that's called CPM. And this stands for cost per thousand. And this is the primary driver of every internet campaign. So what CPM means is how much it costs to show your ad to 1,000 people that are in a specific audience, all right? If this is really high, if you're paying $100 per 1,000 people, even if your click-through rate is good and even if all this other stuff is good, everything is still going to be extremely expensive, and it's probably going to lead to disaster, which would be you losing money, right? So I want to kind of walk you through the 4-part disaster avoidance method, all right? So this is like disaster preparation and disaster avoidance, and if you know this stuff, then you really don't have to be afraid of anything because you'll be able to analyze stuff. So number one, we're going to look for is going to be your website, okay? Number two, we're going to look at is going to be your ad. Number three is going to be your audience. And we're going to start here, okay? Before you ever show an ad, you have to understand that it doesn't matter what platform you're on. If it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Google AdWords, whatever, ultimately you are paying per 1,000 times that your ad is viewed, right? That's called CPM. So if we take that into consideration, you need to like really make sure that the only people that are seeing your ad are people who are clearly interested in what it is that you want to sell. Right? So there are a lot of ways here at the agency that we do that. Number one, we'll find out that people who are searching for your type of stuff, and then we'll just show ads only to them through something called search retargeting. Another type of thing that we can do is we'll find people who are going to websites that indicate they're interested. So like if you sell trucks, they're going to truck review sites, right? Okay, they're clearly in market. That's our little fancy term for it there. We're going to start showing them your ad, right? But everything comes down to the audience. Okay, so once you have this audience targeted, now you need to make sure you're not overpaying in terms of how much it costs per show to show them 1,000 impressions of your ad. Now the next thing is going to be the ad itself. All right, if the ad sucks, like so, if this is good, like so, you know, let's say it's where we got the steakhouse, and this is an audience of steak lovers. People who are actively searching for steakhouses, people who actively go to local steakhouses or whatever, and your ad says something like, lukewarm, slightly old steak sold at inflated prices by rude people, click here to be insulted, probably nobody's going to click it and no one's going to end up here. Right? So if we know that the characteristics of a good audience are people who are clearly and obviously interested in your stuff, now you got to ask yourself, okay, what's the characteristics of a good ad? A good ad's got this in common, all right? Here, I'll erase this right here. Number one, makes a clear offer. All right, so it takes forever to write with this thing. In this case, if we owned the steakhouse, for example, we might say, get 15% off of any prime rib dinner when you mention you saw this ad. Clear offer, 15% off, right? Number two, I'm just going to put BN. It clearly shows the business name. The reason that it shows the business name is because a lot of times, and this is still true to this day for us, people will see the ad. They might not even click the ad, but they'll remember the business name and then go type it in. So it clearly states the business name. And number three, it's got a call to action, such as click here to learn more, or click here to claim the discount, or whatever. If your ad's got these three things in it, chances are the people who are in the audience, of folks who are like obviously in market for your kind of stuff, are going to click on it, all right? So the more of these people that end up clicking on your ad, that means you have a higher click-through rate, the cheaper your cost per click is going to be. So if it costs me $1,000 to show my ad to 1,000 people, which is like ridiculous. I know something, actually, let me make that better. If it costs me $10 to show my ad to 1,000 people, and my click-through rate is 1%, what's 1% of 1,000? What is that?
100?
Is it really?
No,
No, it's 10.
10.
It's 10. It's going to cost me $1 per click, right? If my click-through rate is half of that, it's going to cost me $2 per click. The click-through rate is determined by what your ad says, right? So the better the ad, the more people click it, the cheaper your cost per click is, right? Huge deal, huge deal. Okay, and now we finally have the website, all right? And this is the trick about the website. Every business, you got a caller? Well, you know what, I'll stop in the middle of it, take the caller, and that way we can just kind of drag this thing out here. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Natalie Root, this was going to be amazing. This one part was really going to be it, but I've totally lost my train of thought here. Let's take the caller and make the caller feel bad. Okay, let's see if we can do that.
Galen in Atlanta.
What's happening up there, man?
It's a girl.
I don't really want to make you feel bad. I just want to mess with Natalie. What's up? What's going on in Atlanta?
Oh, it's going great. It's an honor to talk to you.
You know it's me, right? So you think I'm somebody
Yes.
else? Okay, well that's nice of you to say. How can I help you?
You and your wife are like the Beyonce and Jay-Z of marketing.
It's really her. I'm just the fat guy that lives with her. Yeah, yeah. That's mainly how people know me. So for those of y'all who don't know my wife, she's kind of a big deal. She's something. Yeah, I like her. She's everybody's favorite. Yeah, kind of like how everybody prefers Elena. I mean, let's all be honest here. Yeah, everybody does. Well, what can I help you with?
I'm selling a live event next month, and I just started an Instagram for it to promote it. And in just a couple of days, I got like 100 followers, and the impressions are like 7,000 and 3,000 reach. And I want to do Facebook ads, but I'm not getting any sales like organically, and I don't know if like ads to Instagram or Facebook would be like a waste of money if I'm not getting sales organically.
Oh, well, it starts here, right? So you got to like make sure the thing that sells the event actually sells the event. So when you're running the organic posts and all that kind of stuff, what are you telling people to do?
I'm telling them basically why I created the event and what it's for, but I'm not really telling them to do anything, but the link is in the bio type message.
Okay, so that right there is, well, hell, I erased it, but there's no offer, right? So we got to make an offer like, hey, go here and do this. Okay, so you're not doing that, and that's okay because you're not paying for it, but if you were paying for it, you'd have to have it like, hey, go here, do this, here's why. Do you have any numbers in terms of how many people have clicked on the link in the bio and gone to the site?
It's showing right now, I think, 50 clicks to the website.
Okay, and any sales at all?
Just 3.
Just 3. That's actually really good. What's the price of the event?
It's $97. It's a one-day workshop.
Okay, so we know right now that based on that, I think this is right, based on this really early data, by the way, your website converts at 6% on a $97 product, which means if we get 100 visitors, they're worth, I'm going to round up, 100 visitors are worth $600, which means if our cost per click is under $6, you're probably going to be okay. Now, so I did that math really, really fast. All I did was I said, I'm rounding up the cost of your product to $100 from 97 just for easy math. But if you got 3 out of 50, that means you would get 6 out of 100. So 100 times 6 is $600. So 100 clicks would equal $600. I'm dividing that by 100 to get a value per click of $6, which means if we can run ads to the right people that get clicks for less than $6, that's supposed to be a dollar sign, sorry y'all. Oh, I was drawing with the eraser, that's why. If we can get traffic to your website for less than $6, should be a profitable campaign. All right, so we can say, check, website's working. Okay, so now your question was, would it be a waste of time to run ads on Facebook and Instagram? And the answer is probably not, based on this data, which again is like a real small sample size. You know, it's not a whole lot of data to go on, but no, it probably would not be a waste of time. You should start running ads immediately. How are you getting these people to see the posts now?
Now what I do is just simply go on their Instagram, and if they have questions about, like the event is about marketing. So if they have questions about marketing, I answer questions, and they end up following my Instagram. So that's how I'm getting them to my posts.
Okay, and so you'll make a post. Wait, so you're getting the followers by like manually going to their Instagram accounts and just commenting on stuff where they're asking questions?
Right.
Okay, that's a lot of work. Okay, so let's pretend here, all right, that we wanted to emulate that through ads. What's the biggest question that people are answering or asking rather repeatedly?
That I'm seeing they want to know how to get more customers, specifically leads.
Okay, any particular type of business, or is it any business?
They're mostly coaches, consultants and coaches.
Okay, so we might create an ad that says, watch this. Do you like to do video or image ads?
Video.
Okay. Okay. So your headline of your ad, and I would actually have this like embedded in the video, you know, so if the video was this, like it would be one of those videos with a headline in the actual video, and it would say, coaches, watch this if you want more leads. Then it would have you answering the questions, you know, hey, you know, I'm constantly seeing all these questions online about how do I get more leads, blah, 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 blah. And one of the ways is X, Y, Z. And then in the video, you would pitch the event and you'd drive them to the web page from that video. And so that would be a learn more button. And then you would have some long form copy under there, probably similar to some of the long form copy you're already using in your existing posts. And I would run that to everybody who is within probably, let's say, 20-mile radius or whatever of where you're going to be holding the event, who also has coaching and consulting interests in their audience selection capabilities in Instagram and Facebook. Drive them right to the site. Because what we just did is we reverse engineered what's working, right, on a small scale. Mm-hmm. You're providing value to people with a specific question that are in a specific industry, and then they follow you and they see a post, and then they therefore go to your website, which is like, you know, 9 million steps, but it's still cool. It's still like grassroots. You're doing a good job of it. So we just want to kind of accelerate that process via advertising, which is exactly how you do it, right? And so you're going to send them to that website that's converting at, 6%? That's pretty good conversion. So as long as you're getting clicks for less than $6, assuming those numbers hold, you'll be acquiring registrants at a profit. And that's
Mr.
how you
Kern,
do that.
You are a genius. Thank you so much.
With a capital J. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate that. Okay. So we were on the website section, all right? So we have our audience, all right? Jamboard's getting funky on me. It was weird. All right, might not be able to rely on the Jamboard today. We had our audience, all right? So who you're showing the ad to matters. So like if she was showing that ad to restaurant owners or whatever, that wouldn't really work out. She knows her market. She knows that people are buying her coaches and consultants. That's why the ad, that's why we would show the ad to the audiences. The ad itself would follow those 3 steps that I told you. Here's what this is for. Here's the offer, right? And here's what to do. Go to the website to learn more. And now we got the website itself. Now the contents of the website determine the money that the website brings you, okay? And this is a huge deal. What do you put on the dang site? The answer is, it depends. There's never really a one-size-fits-all formula for this. And it depends on what your sales process is. So if you're like her business, where they're actually physically buying the thing on the website, then you should either have a headline, right? One of my favorite headlines is, read this if you want that, right? And or if it's a video, watch this if you want that. Really, really simple headline. If you go to Cardone Kern right now, we just changed our headline. And it says something like, read this if you want help with your advertising, like really, really obvious. So you got your headline, then you either have copy or a video that informs, sells, and incentivizes. Inform says, hey, here's some information about the thing that I got to sell you. Sells is, here are all the benefits about the things I got to sell you. Incentivizes is, here's why you need to go ahead and get it right now. And then, so you could do this in print or in video, doesn't matter. Then it's going to have a call to action. Call to action is literally telling them what to do, such as click here to order this right away, okay? And as basic as that sounds, that's how almost every website should be laid out, depending on sales process. If your sales process wasn't one where somebody actually buys the stuff right there on your website, but instead they book a call with you, the call to action would say, click here to book a call with me, right? If the process was to call your store to see if you had the inventory in stock, or to call the restaurant to make a reservation, your call to action would be click here to make a reservation. And you could even have multiple buttons. Click here to reserve online, or click here to call. On mobile devices, you can actually have buttons where they click the damn button and it pops right up there, and you can call them right from the ad. It's the greatest thing ever. But if you follow this formula, your conversion rate on your website should be pretty good. So to disaster-proof, then like get your brain from stopping worrying about stuff, there's really only a couple things you got to worry about. Does your website convert? If yes, but ads still bad, then we go, okay, are you paying a lot per click? If no, but your campaign is still bad, then you go, all right, if the website converts and I'm getting traffic at a good cost, that must mean that the audience is wrong and I'm showing it to the wrong people. And once you get those 3 things lined up, you're going to be okay. And I'll close with this one thing. There is one thing that will guarantee the success of every ad campaign in the world. And that one thing was actually 2 things: time and data. What happens usually, if you've never advertised before, is you'll be like, okay, I just started a campaign today. I spent $100. I'm not rich yet. It's the end of the world. It's a disaster. Here in the agency, whenever a campaign works immediately on the very first day, we use a technical term, and that technical term is called a miracle, but the word miracle is preceded by something very profane, and I don't think I'm supposed to say it on the show. It starts with an F, rhymes with ducking, okay? So we call it a ducking miracle, all right? Usually, here's what happens when you're running ads, all right? At the end of a 30-day period, you're going to be in one of these 3 phases. Phase number 1, bad, real bad. Everything was crappy. Now, if you're running your ads and you're doing ads and you understand this, you really only got these three things. Is the web page converting? Am I getting traffic at a good cost? And am I showing it to the right people? If you're doing that and you're really like paying attention to all that, the chances of it being real bad, pretty low. It's possible, right? It happens, but pretty low, okay? Second possibility at the end of 30 days is going to be showing promise. Showing promise means you spend $1 and maybe you got about 80 cents back, but you can see where if you just start turning the dials a little bit, maybe improve the conversion rate on the website, maybe start showing the ads to a better caliber of people, maybe get your cost per click down or whatever. If you see that, hey, if I get this, I turn these dials a little bit, this thing's going to be working, that's what showing promise means. And the third phase of possibility at the end of 30 days is amazing, right? And that's where it just worked immediately. And that is very, very rare in most cases. Very unusual for that to happen, unless you're going to people who already are buying from you or whatever. And this is what realistically to expect, right? So if you have realistic expectations with your ads and you understand that, man, that, there's really these three things: website conversion, cost per click, and audience, right? If you just kind of keep all of that in mind, you're disaster proof. Nothing's really going to go horribly wrong, because if something ain't working, you can just turn it off, adjust one of those three things, turn it back on, and continue to go forward. And thus concludes the show today entitled Disaster. Thank you all so much for watching. If you need help with your advertising, if you're currently advertising online and you need some help with it, go to CardoneKern.com. I've written you a new letter there. We're offering free consultations, going through complete audits of your online campaigns, showing you areas of improvement that you may be able to reach. Our logic there is we're going to try using the oldest trick in the book, ladies and gentlemen, which is to demonstrate you can help people by actually helping them. And our hope is you'll let us do that and you'll be like, these guys seem to know what they're doing. All these recommendations make sense. I don't want to do it. I think I'll get them to do it instead. That's our hope. Go to CardoneKern.com if that proposition sounds interesting to you. Until then, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
When you're in front of a customer, do I have your attention? When you're getting attention, you need to know something else is trying to get their attention too. You're in competition with everything, and you don't need to make attention. You need to get attention. They're tied together. Attention is money. Get it? Keep it, multiply it. That means when I'm in a meeting, I need to get your attention. I need to get it. I need to be sure I have it. I need to keep it. And then I need to multiply that attention. Because if you don't keep my full attention, you ain't gonna get none of my money.
If you want Cardone Kern to grow your brand for you, to get your market's attention, keep your market's attention, and cause them to know you, like you, trust you, and want what it is that you have to sell, go to CardoneKern.com.